Okay, I extend this warm welcome to all the participants and panelists on behalf of Art Journal Foundation. I'm Ruchira Banka. I'm the director at Art Journal Foundation, an organization that supports process, practice, and exploration of arts across the globe. We believe that art and culture are essential foundations to the community and a necessity for a more equitable and just world. As facilitators, catalysts, and provocators in the field, AJF, as we call our Journal Foundation, it supports critical investigations, explorations, and experiments that push boundaries of knowledge and practice. And these challenge dominant narratives too. And today is a day to celebrate arts, a day to celebrate dance when we come together with the artists here who are here to bring people together through common language of dance. This day is celebrated to bring dance as a universal work of art across political, social, and ethnic obstacles. And our panelists for the day, who are themselves experienced educators and artists, will throw light on the relevance and importance of dance education. Dance plays a crucial role not only as a form of art, but as a way of life, as something that can, have transformative effects on one's physical, emotional, psychological, and even economic aspects. So let's hear them out when they talk about the economic implications and the future implications of dance education. Before they start, I would take a few minutes to introduce them to you. We have on the panel Mr. Vaishak M. Raj. Vaishak is a IB Continuum Performing Arts Educator and a IBDP CAS Coordinator at DPS. He carries all sorts of IBIN roles that one could get into. He's an IBIN curriculum developer, a part of the enhanced MYP project, part of developing the MYP Arts teacher resource material. He's an IBIN program leader for the MYP, an IBIN workshop leader for PYP, MYP, and DP. On the Art Journal Foundation, he has conducted multiple workshops, and he's a part of our board of advisors too. Welcome, Vaishak. Thanks for being a part.
Thank you, Ruchira.
We have the other panelist, Mr. Bharat MS. Bharat has been working in performing arts field for over 11 plus years now. I have seen his unwavering passion towards dance, and I think that is what propels him to create a profession in the IB program as a dance facilitator for the PYP and MYP, and even the Cambridge curriculum for 8 plus years. He's currently working as a PYP and IGCSE dance facilitator at JBCN International School, Oshiwara, Mumbai. He's the founder of an organization called Every Soul Deserves to Smile, the foundation that caters to mentoring the underprivileged communities in the rural parts of Karnataka through arts and services action projects. Welcome, Bharat. Thanks for being a part.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ruchira.
And we have another panelist who's also very closely worked during the foundation years of Art Journal Foundation with us. Bhargavi is a dance scientist, a dance educator, and a community dance practitioner. She's the founding faculty of dance at Shivnadar School in Chennai. Bhargavi holds a master's degree in dance from the University of Bedfordshire, UK, and she's published research in reputable journals such as Research in Dance Education and a special edition on the independent sector in dance education and practice. We are very thankful for all of you to be here on this platform and sharing your expertise and ideas with the audience out here. And I'm looking forward to this session, knowing more about what you think about the future of dance education can be. So over to the panelist, Vaishak, if we may start with you.
Always not a great. I would really love to hear from Bhargavi because I think so. What you are doing that, especially in dance science is something that caught my interest initially. So, before getting into all the nitty-gritties of what we have to say today, I think so everyone in the house would be really interested to know more about what you have done. So I really pass on the baton to you.
I would say I'm a classic example of what happens when arts meets with another subject. And that's exactly the case with me. I trained as a Bharatanatyam dancer with my guru. I was performing and I was doing a bout in a very traditional system. But then again, I went to higher education and I was in an engineering program. Thankfully, I was in a space where I could study engineering. I was also studying dance as a minor. For me, it was all about finding that integration, that I love dance and I love science. And what is that midpoint that they both meet? And when they meet, what is that magic that they create? I must say I'm very grateful to have met the right people at the right time and have had it have great educators guide me in the right direction. And that what sort of gave me a sort of a push into the dance science direction. And as it's a field where you unravel a little more and then you want a little more of it. And it takes it's relevant both across genres, across age groups. It is relevant in K-12, it is relevant in independent sector. It's really about the lens that one would want to look at it from. So the universality of dance science and at its core, it's all about um, how do you make dance happen? Yeah. It's when we say, oh yeah, we're dancing, we're often it's very simple to say, do the steps or do this or do put it in a choreography, do it with rhythm, dance on the music. But what does go behind that dancing? That is what dance science is about. And it offers you from a very scientific lens. So it comes from the idea of research and inquiry into the process itself, and not to just take things at the surface level of it, but to go a little bit deeper. So when someone asks me what is dance science on a very basic level, it's the science behind dancing, yeah. But you can take it however you want. You can take it from the context of figuring out how to teach older adults or teach young children, and that becomes what is the content versus what kind of movement, and how do you teach that movement in very different contexts. It could simply be about, a dancer that used to go on stage in 3 months. How do I prep them for it? Or I have an adolescent dancer and I need to they are thinking of a professional career in dance. So what is the guiding that I'm providing them, both from a physiological perspective, from a psychological perspective. It could also be that, well, dance is great for you as a physical activity, it's great for you from a health perspective, but then how do you design a dance intervention that targets a specific health outcome? So all these are things that make dance science happen.
That's really interesting actually, because somehow my journey also was quite similar in that. However, I didn't find dance science in the way. So I was dancing in the meantime. I was a science graduate also, so I was doing my BSc honors in agriculture. So I remember during one of my last uh, career guidance session, the person who came in, and we had this set of questionnaires, and I was answering everything,
Mm,
and somehow dance came across every answer, and very surprisingly, not that I intentionally did it. And he also told me this, that uh, if you ever come to a point where your passion for science and your passion for dance meets, and that can change. But somehow I didn't discover,
mm,
dance science, but I was also interested in literature. I was interested in a lot of other things actually. So I think that point was defined when I became an IB educator actually. When I first went to this idea of transdisciplinary, and because that's something that it was so organic to me from a very childhood, because everything did had dance in it, had
mm,
literature in it, had science in it, had different things coming into play. I never liked something in isolation.
mm,
So much for the fact that when I was training in my Kathakali, because I was training in contemporary at one point and training in Kathakali in the other point, and my Kathakali had the training, of course, is done in isolation.
mm,
But for me, the process of getting on stage, because of that 4 hour makeup plus the music plus the grandeur, and I see so many disciplines coming together at that point, that sort of kept me interested. Otherwise, the training part alone did not quite interest me, but the end result of going through that process of preparing for stage was interesting. At the same time, contemporary gave me that sort of flexibility to bring in whatever I wanted to create that frame. So I think my point got defined when I entered into the world of IB. So, I found that, oh, this is everything that I believed in.
mm,
But by that time, I think so, like, the question I think so half the population here is asking is, okay, we're interested in dance. Everything is great, fantastic. But what next?
mm.
What next in dance? I think so. So somehow you did find a pathway towards that, and I believe a lot of people in India are struggling because of the lack of information mostly. I mean, like the schools which we teach also, like when parents do come and ask us that okay, the child is really interested in dance, they want to pursue a career in dance. what is the way forward?
Mm,
And
mm.
um, with that, I think so. I'll pass the baton to Bharat. Otherwise, I can keep talking.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And hearing you guys, I think it's like a different perspective I've got. Firstly, again, starting with Ms. Bhargavi, and when even I saw the terminology dance scientist, it's something more someone I think I can say somebody who has probably gone deeper, deeper into the subject, probably to explore something in terms of probably opening a different channel or opening doors for learners, or not just learners, probably even artists, to
Mm,
probably look at that in that lens of dance is not just, as you mentioned again, not going on stage and just performing, and not just a co-curricular activity. A lot of
mm,
schools even now,
mm,
we still
mm,
face that, when they address art teachers and performing, especially performing art teachers,
mm,
and probably this is something even it's instilled in learners also when they have been probably introduced any co-curricular activities, or it might be, I'm just not talking about dance, but any performing arts subject.
mm,
For them, they have this thin line between academics and co-curricular activities. For them, they don't probably relate to, yes, there are
mm,
hundreds or thousands of ways of opportunities where we can build our skill,
mm,
and this is not just another complete deviation from academics, but a part of it itself
mm,
holistically. I think changing that notion or changing that perspective in not just learners but also organizations, probably on the management level. I think, we as artists, we as teachers, over the years, we have tried our best in terms of always trying to integrate something or the other. And IB, that's where IB comes in. That's where I fell in IB. Miss Ruchira and Neera would again, Miss Ruchira especially would connect to that. When I joined 2016 into IB, trust me, it took me 2 years to understand what IB is, because as an artist, the last thing you want to do is take your laptop and sit and document things what you're going to do, because that's the last thing you want to do as an artist, sitting
mm,
and documenting what you're going to teach over the next 6 months, because we are so creatively wired that way, programmed that way, and subconsciously we are someone who are more comfortable at the same time and under the skin of being in the studio, with music and that whole environment itself, where these things comes at probably on the last, or at least for me, it came at the last line or base, where documenting things or having things structured on connecting to things, what things are going on in UI, where kids are learning about, for example, science. Again, learners are learning about gravity. And I never thought in my childhood where my science teacher could connect gravity to dance, especially when
mm,
we talk about lifts, when we talk about spins, when we talk about body balance. I think it was, we failed back then as an education system in terms of integrating performing arts into academics. I think kudos to IB again for probably giving that platform, and not just giving the platform, at the same time giving that remote to you and say, yeah, you as educators in performing arts, you run the show how you want to, end of the day, but we would support you in all holistically, in all the ways we can, in terms of providing you probably the workshops needed, and probably to make you understand how you connect dance into probably any core subject what the learner is learning. Math, I'm someone who hated math, but now every time I want to do IDU unit, I'm the first one to want to do something with math. It might be fractions, it might be anything connecting to the core subjects, I would say. So for me, IB has really helped me to sustain at the same time in this industry. I'm someone who does a lot of different things apart from school in terms of dance. I'm into completely different commercial platform, actually working for TV commercials and multiple activities. But I still don't want to leave the roots of me connecting to IB, where I know somewhere we as a team, we as a community, as performing arts teachers, can make a difference. And prove the world that skill development is not just coming from the books of probably running chapters of probably just social or science and math, but still it is part of our everyday lifestyle, is what I call. I always call, for me, if somebody asks, as Miss Bhagavi said again, how do you define dance on a basic level? It's very challenging to do, as Mr. Vaishak again mentioned. Like, for him, somebody had to probably tap that when he was answering the questionnaires, where dance was everywhere. So I think back then when we start, we all didn't know where we are going, probably. like taking dance as a full-time professional thing actually, because for us, I am sure you guys will watch on this. Sorry, monetary thing is the last thing that comes to artists, because we are completely drenched in that thing of passion and want to be recognized, want to do great, want to be performing and expressing ourselves. But probably, as again Mr. Vaishak said, when parents asks us what is the next step, I think we are all still trying to crave that path and understand, okay, what is the next step for us as well, and what is that we can bring onto the table. So yeah.
I like the point where you talk about the education system as a whole, right? And at times, a certain education system is also catering to the needs of that time. It's very contextual in that sense that say 30, 40 years ago, the skills or what we needed as a nation or society was a largely a little bit different from what we need today. And I think that way it's also adapting to the changes. Yes, sometimes what happens is that although arts is a very freeing entity, sometimes dance as a technique and everything also constricts people. Oh, grammar aisa hai, so you must do it like this,
Yeah.
or you must go about it this way, or this is the weight for it, or if you don't perform this way, then it is not. It is. So I think that, and that for me, that's where the role of dance becomes very vital within a school. The IB curriculum really drives it beautifully with its transdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. But in general, that is the difference dance can make. Is to allow these, you have these questions, kids also have these questions, their parents have their questions. Faculty also is having questions because, we didn't study in a system like this. So to come, like you said, 2 years to figure out what you're doing, like exactly the same process. For me, I was like, okay, I love science so much, I love dance so much. What do I do? What do I do? And it's those, like I must say, I have been grateful to find it at the time I did. But that's where I feel like our role as educators, or that's dance's role within the K-12 becomes very vital in allowing learners and parents and stakeholders to see through these narrow avenues that are there. They are narrow today, yes. They didn't even exist a few years ago, and they will become wider as the need and necessities arises. The opportunities will increase. I mean, AI is a great example of that. You and I didn't grow up with AI, but can we think of a world without AI today? We don't. So it's actually adapting to the needs of the day. I mean, Vishak, what do you say, Bharat? What do you say about big dance being in the K-12 system?
Yes,
Oh,
rightly said. We are able to, I think we as community again, probably when we talk about even the group we were talking about, as Vaishak was saying about the IB dance group. See,
Hmm.
back then we never had anything specifically centered as something for dancers where we can discuss things, where we can discuss lesson plans, where we can discuss like, hey, I have this thing coming up in our school for our PYPX showcase, and how do we probably, what are the kinds of songs I can choose where I have to show something in terms of landforms. It's like it just goes over our head, like landforms and songs over it. Oh, probably it's a really a boring topic. Like I don't want to do landforms, because for us we feel dance again is more of an entertainment entity
Hmm.
itself, of just entertaining people. And
Hmm.
the platform right now which we are creating again, or trying to again having these kind of platforms again, thanks to again the Art Journal Foundation of creating these platforms, where when do we remember back then, like ages ago, on international dance days, dancers sitting and having a discussion about, okay, this is where we are, what is next, or this is where I come from, this is where you come from. Okay, how are we going to join these dots and take it further, right? So I think we are on a positive note and path. uh, on that note, I believe, for me, where I started 2016 is when I started IB. As I said, 2 years it took me, like what am I doing? What are ATL skills? Why ATL skills? But trust me, that terminology itself, ATL skills, has, if I can say that as an artist, has fed me till day
Hmm.
in terms of as an artist, where has helped me to sustain, to understand something about IB at least, because it's a vast, it's an ocean. Like we all are still kind to do, because when we talk about assessment, it's a complete different path again. When we talk about just transdisciplinary unit or how we integrate, it's a different thing again. When we talk about having a different strands for e-portfolio units in MYP, it's a complete different, ball game altogether. But at the end of the day, when we say as a come back and see it as a bigger picture, I think we all are heading into right path and probably creating that niche for dancers to come in, the younger generation to see us as, okay, our teacher is doing something in dance. And I think probably it has opened up channels for us where we can try that too. Apart from the cliche things as, but I mean, we have this Indian cliche thing as a professionals of doctors, engineers, and with all due respect to them, we had no one to show us this is the niche, go for it. But I think when IB started for all of us, I think we were always scratching heads of, does this going to sustain for us? Should I change my profession, not working in schools, and take a different path because I want to do well in my performing arts subject and things like that. But I am thankful to IB, to be honest, in that way. And I feel we are on the right path because it creates platform to us to do something. And joining hands with the HRTs, the classroom homeroom teachers. I don't remember, as you rightly said, in our system when we studied, I didn't even have a dance teacher back then in our school, apart from the annual days. And our class teachers became dance teachers. So for in our head, it's not a important subject. It's an entertainment subject. It's a co-curricular thing. There is no big deal if you don't attend. So I think we are going on a right path on that note of creating awareness in stuff.
Yeah, Bhargavi, I think so. You asked me about the role of dance in K-12 actually. It was a subject that, I was also figuring out because somehow the dance culture in my school, somehow we had developed in such a manner that, children started opting dance in, MYP 4 and 5 as their final, e-portfolio subjects. And then in the diploma program, that we are currently planning also. So the question, because I know that this question will come to me before it comes to them, that what in, and I think so. I learned it by trial and test, which I'm going to share today. What worked out really well. So recently, one of my students, so she got a scholarship in UCLA, and her portfolio in her letter of recommendation, because she was a core dancer, she was a ballet dancer in my school, and she was heading the dance team also for me. And uh, it's not only about the dance and the events and the competitions that she went. So that was said and done. How she took forward that is, she sort of formed a student agency within the school ecosystem where she identified there are people who wanted to dance but never came out. So she devised a system in which even teachers and admin staff and students, everyone could come together just to experience dance. And their experience was just not momentarily for a class or something. It was linked to a cause. So they had, developed certain things that, helped NGOs, certain things that sort of gave messages to big industries who were making, huge mess with the environment and the ecosystem here in NCR. So different things that she did over a span of time consistently sort of added so much value to her portfolio that, she had an interest area in which she connected with whatever knowledge and a responsibility factor that came into place. And that really, sort of made her LORs greater than what it was. And she really came to me and told that, there were many a times that, I wish that, and people were also telling that, you should focus less on dance and, go more into the academic rigor and everything. But she held on to what she believed, this thing. I'm taking inspiration right now. One of my other students, he's preparing for Yale University, so he's very good with design and with all the other coding and everything. And he is a fantastic dancer. So for the longest time, we were thinking, a university like Yale, which is in one of the top Ivy League universities out there. So how would we bring dance and his interest of technology together? And just as you mentioned in your last discussion about AI, so I recently had one of my students who is in Spain right now, who I'm currently online also, we do sessions. And she is doing some very interesting work with AI and dance together, which was very interesting because she used to show me all the prototypes and everything when we used to go for online session. So I connected my student with her actually. And they are currently working on few projects where, AI and dance are combined, and that's adding value to his college portfolio. So when, parents tell that it's co-curricular, yes, it is, but it's the way you say it. It's the same way you see an abacus class. It really doesn't add value to this, but it has implicit value addition that happens. Similarly, with everything, anything that you do. So dance can be seen as co-curricular if you want to see it in that way. But if you want to see something that can really make a change, it is. Because in the West, there is this huge upsurge for creative economy. Like the creative economy is the maximum booming economy in the West. So a year back, I think so during the COVID time is when the British Council actually declared this is the year to celebrate creative economy, because we all know that everything that sells today is content driven, you know, and people are finding different ways to be creative. People are finding different ways to sell their products, market their businesses and everything. And you can see that, I mean, like Bharat does a lot of work in the commercial sector. So he also knows that, a lot of the driving force actually depends on how creatively you portray things. And uh, honestly speaking, dance being so transdisciplinary and, interdisciplinary in nature, it really, really boosts your creative thinking skills, which is also one of the reasons why you cannot stick on to a traditional way of practice also. You really, as dance educators, maybe how my teacher taught me dance, I may not be able to teach in the same way to my student. It really may not make purpose and sense in today's world. So to mold that way to understand, so I always tell my parents that, I may not be preparing your child for what is there now. I might be preparing them for what is not there right now. So, and I really, really believe it. And the more and more I get into it, I feel that it's very much out there and that revolution is almost about to start. So if you actually go like you had done with Bedfordshire, you would have done the dance science. So similarly, in De Montfort University, you have the BA honors in dance. In London, you have the place which is offering BA honors in contemporary dance. And of course, Broadway Dance Center offers few certification courses, but it really does not, for me at least, it does not make the top cut. But all the other universities which offers BA honors dance as a major subject and a minor subject, and the greatest part, I think so, not many people know is there's so much scholarship opportunities also out there for these students. Like one of my students, she's a Kathak dancer and a ballet dancer, and she's a jazz dancer. She's been training continuously for around like 13, 14 years now. So she is in the process of applying for to the place in UK. And it started right from her MIP personal project where she actually took Kathak, she deconstructed Kathak for the Western audience, just keeping its aesthetics intact, but, using contemporary narratives to connect to a global audience. So the entire performance being rooted, she was able to connect to different cultures and background. Another student of mine for her personal project. So in India, you have this classical dance form called Satriya. It is from Assam. I never knew that was a classical dance form until she brought it to me. So I honestly thought it was a folk form, but it is not. And you won't believe that, till date, there are less than 10 books written in English on Satriya. And she made it a point to take her culture to the world. She went back to her roots in Assam. She collected data. She collected all the artifacts. She came and she published an ebook on Satriya. And there was so much resistance that she faced from her own teachers and the own community. But she really fought for it because she understood this is something that I struggled in the 21st century. And there are a lot many people who are, bereft of this knowledge because there is no books written in English. And right now, she's in the process of applying for the Youth Action Fund for around $3,000 just to take this project forward. Now, just imagine how much it is going to add value when she applies to any college. Whether she takes dance, she does not take dance, that is immaterial. But what dance can, how you perceive and how you go through dance in a K-12 system can really, really be a game changer for you. Because this is not that is something implicit there, like, that, I like maths, so I did financial literacy for someone or this thing. These are things that you actually have to put in effort and you have to there should be some real life example that needs to come forward, real outcomes that need to come forward. And that's something where I think so universities are also agreeing that, the performing arts as such, whatever people are doing, there are visible outcomes. There are visible evidences that come out. And it is not something that can be done in 1 day's time or a month's time. It is a consistent process. If you follow the IB Global Youth Action Fund, this year, just few days back, uh, one project that got, it is nothing related to dance, but it's related to performing arts, so I can still share, is something known as Jugal Bandish. So this boy who was a musician used to play in his school, and he suddenly discovered this NGO known as Lotus Petal Foundation, and he understood there is no scope for music education in this place because there is no instruments, there is no facilities, nothing. So he thought, but I do play music. Why don't I make a concert? Initially, it started with a 1 hour concert, which he charged, from where he got his confidence, which turned on, he worked on that project consistently, which turned into a day-long festival that, accumulated funds to support this Lotus Petal Foundation. They set up an entire music ecosystem there. And now from there, they started, doing that same. Then year on year, the festival continued to fund other NGOs who did not have the same. And I can see the same thing happening for dance also. There's nothing stopping them. So in a K-12 system, performing arts, especially music, drama, and dance, can really become a game changer because it really sets the culture of a place. It really sets the creative line of thought as well as the vision as to how you want to react and be with the society at large. And there is nothing better than dance, I think. So. Yeah, with that, I'll pass the baton to you.
I like to pick up from where you said that we need to see things through, and today we are among a lot of educators, and um, like you said, when we see things through, it really transforms probably a student's life or a situation, or it's adding value to a community or a cause and all of that. I think many a time the only drawback of as educators, or what becomes, is that it takes a lot of time to materialize. And that journey from being to a point where you're starting versus you go at a level where you see these tangible results, it's longer than science or math. If I'm going to take as an example, that if you, for example, take an engineering degree, you're going to get a degree at the end of 4 year, you're going to get a certain kind of a work, you're going to get certain kind of an economic advantage out of it, and that sets kind of the tone for many things. Sometimes, and it's both fortunate and unfortunate in the sense that it does not translate that directly with dance. You guys have also trained, so the training process itself is longer. Kathakali has a very intense training process. Bharatanatyam has a very intense training process. So by the time you start to the end, it's I see a lot of the times that the educators start beautifully, but because they're not able to see that tangibility very quick, it also kind of is a very demotivating phase. And a lot of the time, the ecosystems are not promoting it, right? They're not saying, yeah, you're doing a great job, or maybe this didn't work out this year. Let's try it with another set of students or another set of curriculum. Or can we relook at the lesson plan? Or should we try this outside? Or should we try it with this grade or that grade? I think that it's somewhere it also takes a sort of a pat on your own back to say, yes, you came this far, see it through. And also on the days that it's not the best, is to take a little bit of backseat emotionally and think about it from a very practical perspective. Because as artists, we're very emotional with our work.
Yeah.
It's very hard to differentiate the self out of the work. We are like, no, this is my work. I put so much effort into it. Why didn't it come through? I have been teaching this same material for years. Why is it not working with this group? These are all conversations we have we internalized it from the identity of the self. So, I mean, I'm picking up this point as we are with educators. On a good day, give yourself a pat on the back and say, great going. On a bad day, take a moment out and say, yeah, today is not my day, and keep going with it.
On that note, I actually wanted to add that part as to what you were saying. And I tell this to all my students who come into dancing. when you come into dancing, don't think that your profession or career in dance is only to be a performer. I always tell among 10 of my students, maybe one might be still performing, maybe till the age of 40 or 40. If they're stunningly good performer and can sustain, they'll do that. But it's the same that goes with every subject. Everyone who studies mathematics that does not end up being a mathematician. Everyone who studies science does not end up working as a scientist. That is one pathway that sort of bifurcates into many divisions. So dance alone, if you learn, it bifurcates into so much. Like, in India, of course, we do not have that working culture, like because you told that, like exactly what you told. Uh, in the West, like, when you make dance productions or when you make theater productions, you have, of course, the choreographer, you have the dancer, you have something known as the rehearsal director, you have the dramaturg, you have um, there is this concept of the body. For example, say I'm choreographing a solo piece on me, so I will not dance and make the steps. I'll rather make the steps and make Bharat learn it, and I'll watch Bharat dancing, and then I'll transfer it to me. So there's this concept known as the body also. Like that, there are different roles. There are light designers, there are light mentors, uh, uh, even choreography also. Not in India, this is also a misnomer at times. I used to debate on this a lot. Uh, it is said that the person who makes the steps is the choreographer. I completely disagree on that. It necessarily does not. So the choreographer's role is to tell the narrative of the story. The dancer's role is to perform and do justice to the narrative and bring about his or her own individualistic style to address that narrative. So small technical things like this, but what it does, it opens so much doors. Like right now, we just got 2 grants from the Arts Council in Canada, and because our, you know, of course, my main lead dancer was a Canadian, so we could apply through that. But it is because of this huge ecosystem, because everywhere outside they're looking for collaborative environments and ecosystems where different minds and different disciplines come together. So me being a dancer does not mean that that's the only thing I know in the world. Then you are again in an island. You really have, that is sort of a starting point for you to do many other things. I know many people who are into theater who are fantastic light designers today. Many people who are into drama, who are into dramatic arts today. IB has recently, the diploma program has come up with this new subject called as the language arts, and this one, performance arts also. So much is waiting outside there, and there is so much. But yes, like every person in this world, I really feel that there should be more structure to information. But I think structure to information is not there in most of the subjects. We feel it's there, but it's not there. Even if you see visual arts or something, there are main, some highlights, but there are endless possibilities which people don't know. So yeah, with that, I'll pass it on to Bharat maybe.
That is a really good insight from both of you in terms of education perspective. At the same time, as you mentioned about as a if when you're a dancer, it's dance is not the only thing you do. Like people put that pressure on you indirectly or directly. Like when you're a dancer, especially, I would like to talk on this thing. Like when you're a performer, a lot of people don't understand. Once you are into this industry or stream for over the years, we all start as performers, not knowing that I'll probably dive deep into it and take it as a profession, and wherever the wings would spread into as a tree, like as a branch. But your center would be dance again. Like, see, again, Miss Bhargavi is into like, in research. Again, Vaishak is into like, gone deep dive into IB, like, and he's doing amazing things in IB again. So I am juggling between multiple things at the same time. You, as an artist, as you rightly said, Bhargavi, about we are very much emotional creatures, and we just try to lean on things where we get that pat on the back. And most of the times, that actually kind of deviates and tries to fool us in terms of the lens of we are going on the right track, probably, but not because we're not doing that inner work for ourselves. Or as again Vaishak said, not all dancers are should like should know only thing about dance and connect to other things. For me, when I talk about the commercial aspect, where I work for commercial ads, actually I went when I started working in years ago into commercials, I had a different notion of, because when you're training children, when you're training adults, probably you're doing corporate events, you're doing wedding choreographies, and you're doing, because it's kind of a frame, right? Like entertainment, it has become a big limelight in corporate. It has become a big limelight in school as events. It all comes under sector of frame of events, right? So when commercials is a completely different ball game altogether. When you go there, it's not like you're given more time to think creatively, where you have time to prepare and then say, like, go perform. As again, Vaishak said, a choreographer does not the one, like, who owns all the steps. And if you're doing a solo performance, I would try to first portray that on a dancer who can actually mirror me. My, like, mirror my vision, mirror my thought process. And then when I see that, then I'll be able to connect, okay, this person is putting my thoughts into picture. But if, for example, if we are choreographing for a bunch of 10 different artists in the TV commercial, for example, you will not know, firstly, like, in that time span, I'll just try to tell you, like, I'll just connect to a story which I had, or like, always been, I go back and rewind in terms of the challenges we have when in that 24-bar schedule. Because for us, when we are doing any commercials, uh, 24 hours is what we look at. Max to max, it goes for 48 hours. Again, it depends on the budget of the production of what is the event and what is the ad they're looking up to. First time when I was doing the choreography for the thing, the choreography and the shoot went on for 18 hours non-stop, where there were breaks for different technicians again, where I'll again connect to what my Vaishak was telling about a dancer who is an amazing designer right now. If I'm not wrong, it's the right thing. So we go. I went as with a lens. Okay, I'm a choreographer, and all I'm going to focus is choreography. But when I went there, it was completely a different change of perception for me, because when I went to sell myself as a dancer, choreographer there, people had a different lens there to see what they wanted to see, because we have to convince them in 24 hours what you got with your talent. In 24 hours, you get to teach them, probably, for example, like, keep it as 60 different steps, 80 different steps, and what comes on the screen is hardly 7 seconds of the clippings of what the director wanted to choose. So you have to get into the mind of director, you have to get into the mind of cinematographer, and be on the same page. And I think that's the biggest challenge we would face as artists when in commercials, because nobody would say, "Ha, you're an artist. Take your time. ठीक है." Like, we would give you those models to work with. No, and these models would come also. Not everybody is again dance oriented. Would come up with, and we can't blame them. Kudos to them, with they come with the perspective of like, they being portrayed in terms of how they probably, like, do the self care in terms of physique, in terms of their routine, in terms of how they can present themselves. But not necessarily everybody is a dancer, but we have to get that dance element out of them. And that is that's the biggest challenge. And as I mentioned about my one of my very old first commercial which I was doing, I would not like to take the name of the brand, but when I was doing, I was like, okay, I'm doing so many steps, but how long would the ad would be? It's like a proper 10 to 12 minute performance if they collide and compile everything. So I just went on doing it with, like, passion of probably, okay, this is looking good for me, so I'm going to do this. This is looking good for me, I'm going to do this. But what I saw at the end of the day on the ad, trust me, not even one of those clip was something that was close to my heart, where I wanted them to be on the ad. And that's really heartbreaking for you as an artist, because you know what you've given best of your being emotional creatures, of what you really connected your soul to, what you wanted to get the artist portray. As again Vaishak said, you mirror, or you try to portray your thought process in someone performing your element, your choreography. But trust me, it is a different ballgame altogether. At the same time, decision making, like, you have to make that decision of, somebody is giving you a frame with a 100 kg camera, focusing on one door there, and they say, we want this door because the door is the product. At the same time, we want a dancer to dance there, but we cannot highlight the dancer because the complete focus cannot go on the dancer. Like, how do you completely, like, as dancers, I feel like, in every time I go put into those situations, if I if I'm doing it on a weekend project, when I'm doing IB teaching in, like, days, I kind of probably, like, connect to, this is the decision making thing of thinking skills, creative thinking skills, transfer skills we talk about with kids. And when it comes to actual practice, like, doing it on live, okay, this is a task. Talking about like in e-portfolio units, we give them like, when we have this partially committed unit planner and we want to derive it from there to take it forward, we say we talk about, guys, you have to be creative, you have to focus. Trust me, when we go there, when we are put in that limelight, everything goes blank and all your learnings and experiences and expectation just crumble. And the only thing that again, like, makes you stand stronger and connect to your thing is the reason why I started this. You're asking yourself, why did I start this in the first place? And if it is like, taking me to a path where if I'm supposed to create 40 different steps in 1 hour, where nothing is not similar, nothing has to be same in 1 hour, and the music what we get to choreograph those things are not something where you're really happy to, like, choreograph, because those are licensed music for ads, which is basic instrumental music, but the addition of the outcome what you have to bring in has to be like a, on a top A game. I think I consider myself as a, like, forever learner there, and I'm still trying to connect dots and trying to decode how to efficiently manage my time in terms of opening up my creative chambers there and saying, okay, I have half an hour. This shot has to be final because after this, the light is gone, because I have to be connecting to the cameraman because he'll be like, sir, half an hour, we don't have this light again, nor we're going to get this chance again. And it puts us into the pressure of, uh, again, as an artist, at the same time, again, as you rightly said, pat on your back and say, like, where I started. And if you started this back then for a reason and for a purpose, these are the situations where you're going to say, yes, I'm not going to let dance down. And these are the situation I'm going to not let the entire crew down and take it forward.
Yeah. So now we'll open the house for a few questions actually. So we won't be able to take any statements or additions to what we just said. But if anyone has any questions, they may ask now. Uh, you just unmute and speak. Or if you can raise hand, then we won't have so many people coming in together.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Brenda, you're audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm working at Trivandrum International School. Myself and Mr. Deepak is also have joined the forum.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really empowering us and also feeling really, yes, we are in the right path. We have been doing this integration and all those things along with our programs all through the year. So my question, I'll just keep it simple. I know there will be more questions for you all. So just wanted to know what are the challenges like we do have to integrate with 6 teams over the year. So we are teaching from KG1 to class 5. And some of the themes, we feel that it is quite superficial and we try to engage them with developing this skills on dance. So my question is again, how do you constrain yourself to some themes and how is it possible and what is the time frame you all try to do it and fit it into the curriculum? That is my question.
Okay. Suddenly this webinar has gone to IT and dance. So I'll answer your question, Brinda, because you asked it, and I think so many.
Let's have a different workshop for this.
I'll take one. So, but because that question, because it comes from most of the PYP educators, I think many of them who joined today are from the PYP only. So Bhargavi, Bharat, you can add on. I'll just start off. Okay, so basically, Brinda, when you talk about integration, you should basically understand there are two types of integration. Okay, one is, say, let's take base management as a unit of inquiry. One is, I make a dance to tell people to minimize waste. Okay, I make a dance to spread the awareness of minimizing waste. Second way is, I use dance in which there are props made out of waste materials. There are sets made out of waste materials. Or there are, dance movements, or, uh, dance movements where, I can have, say, statues, or, this thing in made out of waste materials. Both are integration. Both are integration. One is known as a thematic integration, and one is known as an authentic integration. So you should be looking for authentic integrations, which will again push you, because most of us are not trained in authentic integration. It has to be created because we were not taught that way. Maybe your students, if given a chance, they can develop better integrations. And believe me when I tell this, at times I used to throw that question to my students also, that, how do you feel that this can be integrated? What are the possible ways? Ask them to brainstorm. If they're in grade 4, 5, definitely they'll be able to give you, more lines of thought than what you had planned. So it's so important to sort of segregate. Am I doing a thematic integration? Am I doing an authentic integration? Because doing a thematic integration with dance is very simple. It's so simple. Like, they tell that this, you can think of a theme, or a line of thought, and you can make a dance out of it. Very simple. It'll finish in 2 days' time, 3 days' time. Authentic integration takes time. It takes good minimum of 3 to 4 weeks. So you have to think which line of inquiry I want to pick up. What is the type of authentic integration I'm going to do? What are the other subject areas that come? When you talk about integration, you're talking about a transdisciplinary integration where disciplines come together. It's just not dance there. Dance is one medium that takes away, but it's a lot of other disciplines that comes together. So um, trial and error, Brinda, that's a sort of my answer to you. A lot of trial and error, but keep this checklist radar on your head. Is it authentic? Is it thematic? Is it authentic? Is it thematic? That can help. The rest I'll tell Bhargavi and, sort of uh, uh, Bharat to add on. And I think we should make it short because we are running out of time.
I think Vaishak, you beautifully summarized it. But I'll just say one thing, that teaching and teaching dance is a profession. It only gets, you get better at it only by the virtue of doing it. You can read a number of things, you can have books, you can have material, which is all great. You should have all of the theory. I'm not saying no, but it is something you just get better by the virtue of doing it.
Yeah.
So, even if one day it doesn't go your way, give it another day, give it another day. A lot of the times, because we're constantly with students and with young learners, we are very scared of making mistakes because we don't want to impart anything incorrect. While it is very important that we're not giving out incorrect information, or we're not saying factually incorrect things, it's okay to be on a learning curve yourself. This great as a waste management unit, maybe this year you taught it in a certain way. Next year, push yourself to think a layer more. So it's about creating those layers, which is what you would do with your students. In fourth grade, if they did something, the next year, then they come to you, they'll be like, okay, already know this. Can I go a level higher with you? Can we go a little deeper? That's exactly what an educator also has to do.
And Brinda, like, for example, if you feel the problem is that the integration is going superficial in level, there is maybe, like, this is my diagnosis as an IB, there is lack of collaboration. You're not having enough discussions with the homeroom teachers and the coordinator. Um, and most of the time, they do not have, so much discussion with the single subject specialist, but that's when you should storm their door. And, that's what I used to do with my coordinator. Like, I sit there, even you can ask Ruchira, like, I don't spare her also. So I don't spare most of them. Have more conversations, have more collaborative conversations, because that can open doors to a lot, like I told, because a lot many resources and references are not out there. So a lot has to be created by you. And that can only come from a collaborative learning. So if you feel that this is superficial, go and talk to the homeroom teacher. What do you really do in class? What do you teach in class? Maybe go and sit for one class. It's completely fine. Because from there you will get something amazing and you can build upon. So that's one sort of cure and antidote I can give you. Someone else had a question. Yeah, I think
Thank
so.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brinda.
I would just like to
Hello.
add one point. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
very
Bharat,
short.
please.
For me, as like Bhargavi and Vaishak said, It's a thing where it's not something that you have to stick to. Okay, there's an integration. Let's do this. So it's wrapped up. It doesn't work that way in terms of provoking the thought itself in the learner itself. So as soon as they come to the class, the first thing you can write, if you have a board in the dance studio or things like that, and thankfully I have a board in the dance studio, writing down the first thing about the current TD theme, the current key concepts they're learning, the current skills they're trying to focus on, and what was the thing that really that brings an interest in them in this particular unit, and they just have to talk about it and do a mind map on it. And trust me, out of 10 points, they just talk to you. Something connects there where you can connect to your subject, and it's need not necessary 6 weeks you have to talk about the same thing and make it that strong into the integration. If you cannot, as I understand, I hear you, not all TD themes are so inspiring for you to say, "Hi, I'm going to do all of this." Even though if it is not inspiring to do certain TD themes, one point if you can connect and just provoke that thought and leave it, you can still pick it later after months together and still add value to it. But at least talking to it, as again rightly said, again and again about it, just trying to provoke those terminologies and things. Somewhere or the other, we're trying to again do the authentic integration and the thematic integration, as Vaishak said. Yes, please.
Sudhira, you had a question. I mean, we'll take your question. I think that might be the last
Okay.
question.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. My name is Sudhira. I'm from Pune. I'm working as a dance facilitator from last 6 years. I'm teaching EYP to MYP. So on integration, I just wanted to add one thing. As Vaishak said that there are two types of integration. I believe there are two types of integration. One is forceful integration, and second is authentic integration. So many of times, dance facilitators who are new in this IB field, they try to forcefully integrate the themes or the line of inquiries. But I believe that there should be authentic integration as per the, you can integrate with the ATL skill, you can integrate with the learner profile, you can integrate with the line of inquiries or the TD themes also. So you should understand, you have to speak with the HRF, HRT, and what ideas they have. You have to collaborate and you have to communicate. Okay, that is the simple way to make authentic integration. Okay, and my question is, this is a little tricky question, I guess. uh, Anyone can answer this. Why in MYP4 and MYP5 students are not opting dance in their group 6 subject group? Okay, so I just want this answer, because till MYP3 we have a performing arts compulsory. But for MYP4 and MYP5 they have to choose the uh, uh, group 6 subjects. Okay, so most of the students are going for the visual arts and design. So why students are not converting into the performing arts? Because most of the times they don't see the good scope in dance or in performing arts. What is the reason?
Should I take this question?
It's a universal
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I can add on. You can start. I can add on to it.
I want
Can
to
I?
add something before I speak. Yeah, because we just have 2 minutes. That's why.
Sure.
You're talking to me?
Yeah, you had something to add to this?
No.
Okay. So
Can I add something?
yes, yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, Sudhir was saying about the integration, forceful integration. When we collaborate with HRT, that time we should take a, uh, chance. We should speak that it's not a, we cannot go for the forceful integration. We will go for the authentic integration, first of all thing. And we should able to explain this thing properly to the HRT along with the coordinator. Because I remember same thing happened with me when I was dealing with the PYP. And now I am doing MYP dance and MYP integrated science. So let me give you one example quickly. Right, last year I was doing motion with MYP1 in sciences, and along with that I am doing in elements of dance with MYP1. So what different type of motion? How can we connect different type of motion in dance that I have done with MYP1 students? Like we have different type of motion like periodic motion. Okay, then we have oscillation, rotary motion, circular motion. So try to put this all things together while dancing, and that's really helped me out. So this year I'm trying to put I'm trying to do proper idea with this. I'm talking with my coordinator and try to make a proper document of it.
Great. Uh, Richard, I think so. We'll just take 2 minutes extra. That's
Sure, sure.
yeah. So because I want Bharat's and Bhargavi's perspectives also. Okay. Answering to first part of the question, I'm just trying to recollect. Okay. So no one can forcefully make you integrate something. So um, somehow I do not understand. Like I do not buy into this concept of a forceful integration. I feel every UI and every line of inquiry does have a possibility of integration. It's just that we haven't discovered it yet. So I think so we can really, really push to, sort of upskill ourselves and find knowledge and find possibilities to make an authentic integration. So there is possibilities with every TD theme. There is possibilities with most of the line of inquiry. And the PYP structure is such that it is very flexible. And so I'll go into the deep notions of why TD themes are there and why contexts are there in MYP and everything. But that's maybe for another day of discussion. But there are possibilities. It's just that we haven't discovered it yet. That doesn't mean that it is not there. Maybe one teacher in one school can't do an integration with landscapes. Maybe in another part of the world, another teacher is maybe doing something fantastic. That's again coming onto the role of collaboration. You really have to move out and connect with fellow dance educators across the world. That's something that the IB community gives you, and at times we take it for granted also. That we really, really do not move out of our shells to have conversation and collaborate and understand what are the different possibilities. That is answering one of the question. Second question is why don't students take up dance in a higher grades and YP 4 and 5? There is a myriad of reasons for this. At the top of the list is, of course, the school first should first have confidence uh, in definitely the teacher, because it starts with that, because you're showing something through the teacher first. So that's why very strongly believe that a person who takes MYP 4-5 dance should have a very sound knowledge of how to do PYP dance. Like you should be in a position where you can do transdisciplinary integration. You are very familiar how to experiment with concepts and ATL skills, because all that is the way we learn dance by taking one step at a time and then putting in a group choreography. This is the same process. You need to get the foundation so strong that when a partially completed unit planner comes to you, you know the different ways it can be interpreted. You can think from different examiners point of view, because at the end of the day you are putting the child in forefront and telling that hey, I'm there with you. Together we're going to sit on this journey for the next 2 years, and like your scores, your final MIP 5 scores, whether it's important, not important, but I'm there with you. It will not fall because you have chosen e-portfolio as a subject. So that confidence, the teacher should be able to show, like, instill in the school ecosystem and in the leadership and in the students and in their parents. So it all boils down to that, how much we take that. So all the more reason for us to move beyond and bring in different elements to understand. Like I told you, like my students are having value addition in their letter of recommendation where they put for their college applications. So now they know that, okay, if I take in 4 5, and I can still have things to do for personal project, I can still have things to do for my college application. Now if I want to move for dance as a subject across maybe do a BA honors uh, in UK or something, I still have my portfolio as a base to build things. But if we do not give them that vision, I always say that there is passion and there is purpose. If you don't give purpose, passion fades out in due course of time. But if you give them purpose, then the passion sustains for a longer period of time. So why many of them do not take in group 6 when they reach to DP also is the same thing, because the IB pedagogy and the structure is so, I won't say stringent, but it has its own ways. So we need facilitators. I think what Art Journal Foundation in collaboration, like even I do every time, is so that I really, really dream of a day where, many IB schools across India will offer MIP 4 and 5 dance. And I really wish for that day. And I'm really trying my level best. And I mean, Ruchira knows it, that, to train more and more teachers to take MYP 4 and 5, because that's my aim for the next 5 years, to have more schools which offer MYP 5 and DP dance. So it really starts from the teacher. You have no one else to blame, to be very honest, not the student, not the parent, not the leader. It really starts from you. So I think we should really work on ourselves first. Yeah, with that, I'll pass it on to Bharat and Bhargavi.
Yes, Bharti,
I
please go.
would I would love to answer this question purely from a very dance science perspective and to leave out, I mean, you offered great insights. And I understand that insights from a very school education perspective. But time and again, we see, even in studio setups, that attrition rate after adolescence is very high in kids. Yeah, until 12, when they're 12 years old, tell you very active parents are like, yes, yes, you have to go to dance class, you have to do this. After that, it slowly dips down. And a lot of research around this has come up with a lot of different points. One of it first being that uh, first stakeholders are parents. They are not able to see value. They're like, now, it's important you focus on other things. So a lot of the time, we do not understand the academic implications that dance can happen. Learning, like for me, I really saw firsthand how going to a dance class very regularly allowed me to study very easily because I came with very sense of calmness. And then I studied happily. My math was good, my science was good, my English was good. Whenever there is an opportunity to talk to the parent community, we must raise this as a point that, going in the dance class allows your child to flourish very good academically. Second thing is adolescence, the psychology of kids itself changes. See, this is the time a lot of changes in the body are also occurring. For a child who was very comfortable with dance is so not really comfortable in this space anymore. And we must switch the question and ask ourselves why. And what is that causing that child to not be comfortable? How can we make this as an easier process? You look at it, the attrition rates sometimes be more with students who are male versus students who are female. Sometimes it's also about who is the teacher. Is it a male teacher versus female teacher? Is she teaching a classical form, folk form, Western form? All of these are factors. What would really help is to actually have like a cluster of factors and to see what we can negate, certain things can be negated through conversations, certain things can be negated through experiences, and certain things can be negated by being at it with on it time and again. When I teach from a very community perspective, uh, time and again there are conversations I have with adults who are not females, that dance can be for you, and how can it be for you? So what is the material that you can come in, and what is that space that we create that people start feeling comfortable about it? If you have the opportunity, I would say it's go and read research. It's a great place to know how people handled this situation in various spaces. But also, take examples not just from school system but outside the independent sector as well, because that sector is also dealing with the same problem in a completely different manner. And a lot of the time, when you are running it as a business, it might be a bigger economical issue than just what it is in the school, right? So for sometimes we look at a problem and we say the answer must lie only in this. We must look at it from like, where else can the answer lie? And that's why I wanted to bring the perspective of say dance science and independent sector here.
I think we'll hear Bharat and then we'll sort of
I'll
close
keep
the
it very
conversation.
short. And firstly, wonderfully said by my fellow panelists, where both connected to an education perspective, at the same time, dance as passion, how we come up with. I'll just to try to collate and keep it very short. Yes, our mindset, the parent mindset, is always career oriented whenever they are putting any child into the school, especially as she rightly said, Bhargavi said, once they cross PYP. When in PYP, we give a spoon of everything: dance, music, theater. They want to try everything. They want to explore everything. Once they come to MYP, now when we say personal project, e-portfolio, they now try to take one core subject. Within those 3 years, if we as teachers are not able to convince them that there is more scope after this, not just again learners, as again Vaishak said, the management has to have the confidence that there are more takers, because we have to just again see in terms of the management perspective also, like how much as we as school well equipped so that we can send these learners who choose these as a takers in terms of what is that they can do best. I believe in this, show them so that they can make it. So somewhere or the other, we have to show them what is it beyond that, and probably having right set of orientations right from the beginning of MYP1 with parent community, with the complete performing arts department, again going with the proper analysis and data we have in context to thinking on a long term, education with performing arts, I don't think they will not understand what, even my parents, in even now, probably they know, okay, I'm doing something with dance, but they cannot relate after a surface level of, okay, what next? Because we have been framed as artists, and that's the end of story in mindset. And again, trust me, if we go back 5 years back, then we didn't even have these many IB dance educators, music educators, like take any performing arts. But now we have a lot of workshops, we have come forward, and I think over the next 5 years, I think that ratio and the graph would grow. And but that really needs time, because our country's mindset is changing, education system is changing, and right now we are giving more spotlight in terms of sports and performing arts, where it is also now counted as something that develops skill. It's not no more a co-curricular activity. So I think unless until we show them, show the management again with what we got, like, what we are capable of, and again have the right orientation with parents, I think it still becomes a question mark for us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll take over from here. Samragi, I think you have something to say. However, we're running out of time and we've already crossed time, so I may not be able to take this question right now. However, on the group chat, you have multiple AJF group links and how you can connect with us. Anyone who wants to be in touch can be a part of the group. I would like to conclude the session, which I wanted to, I didn't realize when did 1 hour and we went beyond as well, because I really liked every bit of the conversation that happened, and that should go on and on. Even before the session started, we were discussing with the panelists that, I'm sure that this is not going to end at 8. However, I think a big takeaway that I have is from the educators today, that we've been able to create that path and show that light for pursuing dance in future as integrated with various other subjects. We've been able to start preparing them for the unknown. So many little roles, as Vaishak said, I still is implanted in my head. That little roles that dance can be bifurcated into: the choreographer, the body, it's about managing different roles. And for me as an educator, I believe it's more about conversations. I want to make a change, I cannot. You all want to make a change, you cannot. We have to get together. We have the whole agenda is to bring a change into the education system completely, changing the mindsets of parents, teachers themselves, and of course, then leading on to the learners that we have. So we have to join hands. We have to get on platforms like this, is what I understand, can implant a little seed of what change can I bring and how do I collaborate with other educators to bring in that change. So let's keep going on with that, with those ideas on our head, sleep with those ideas and see what next step can I take. Any sort of support that you are looking forward to, any sort of discussions that you are looking forward to, please be in touch with our Journal Foundation. We are all here to collaborate and make this work. The agenda that we are set on to, let us make this work. Thank you so much for all your time. I have applauds for the panelists today. You've been wonderful. The kind of examples that have come today, I think those are commendable. And of course, every statement that came in with a justification. It was not just a statement. It was with clear clarification on what really inspires everybody here to be able to take that next step. Thank you so much, Vaishak, Bharata, and Bhargavi. It was really a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, audience.
Happy
Thank you so much.
International
you.
Dance Day to everyone.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
Global
Thank
Dance
you.
To
Day.
Wish you
you.
the same.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.